Welcome back everyone. We're going into part 5b now, where we start to cover the right join, also known as the right outer join. And this is also an outer join, but we can simply just write it as right join, which I have in this example. Now the key thing to note with the right join is it's exactly the same as the left join, just in reverse. So if you have a look at the table up here, returns 73,595 rows. All I've done is I've written the orders table first, I've brought that in, left joined the invoices to that, whereas on the right join I've just simply done it the other way around. So invoices table first in your from clause, right join onto orders, and then that's where you specify your linking. Let's have a go, see what happens there. 73,595 rows. So it's exactly the same thing, just in reverse. In other words, you just put your tables the other way around. Now personally, I have never used the right join in my coding because it can get a little bit confusing. As you've seen with the left join, there's quite a lot more to think about compared to the inner join on how to write your query and make sure things are joined in the right manner. So throwing in a right join just confuses things even further. And the way I build up my code, starting with a specific table and then left joining as needs be. Personally, I just won't use the right join. I like to say this table needs to join to the table above, and if that's the main table, the one above, then it's the one at the start of the join. So for me, inner joins and left joins. However, you might be happy writing right joins, right outer joins, depending what you prefer. And you may probably see code when you start working in a live environment. You may see a lot of right joins popping up. At least now you'll understand what's going on with those. Now we also have mixed joins. So we don't have to just have a query with inner joins and a query with left joins. We can have the two mixed together, as you can see here. So we've got our orders and order lines, and as discussed before, orders that are in the orders table have matching order IDs in the order lines table. So we can simply join them on order ID, and we know we can inner join the two together. However, when it comes to invoices, we need to do a left join if we want to ensure we see everything from orders and order lines, and we want to see any invoicing data if it exists between these joins themselves. So let's have a look at this one quickly, where we're pulling the order ID, the description from the order lines table, and then the invoice date. So you could say we've been asked to provide all the IDs and all the descriptions of the items ordered and an invoice date if it exists. Let's have a go at that, execute that code. 231,000 rows. So as you can see, most of them have got an invoice date, but as we scroll down the list, see a few nulls creeping in there. Here we go. So this order had this order line description on it. However, it hasn't been invoiced as of yet. So we haven't got an invoice date. Now it's 231,412, and again if we change this to a left join, and we know that everything in orders, order ID wise, exists in order lines on the order ID wise. And if we run that off, we get exactly the same result. So it doesn't matter for some tables whether we use an inner join or a left join. because the same amount of order IDs exist in both tables, and that's what we're joining on. However, when it comes to certain other tables where there may not be the same amount of order IDs in both tables, we use the left join if we want to show all the order IDs coming in. So that's it for the left and the right outer join. Let's have a very quick question again to try and cement what we've been looking at in this episode. So once again, guys, if you want to pause the video now and try it out on your own, otherwise we'll crack on with the question itself and we'll see how you go. So with his yearly bonus and thus his new holiday home at risk, the sales director has approached you directly for a list of unshipped orders and items. In other words, those that have not been invoiced yet. He's after this data to put pressure on the supply chain to get these shipped out and make his sales figures look good by year end. So you need to provide him with the following information. You've got the order ID, customer name, salesperson name, and the order date. Note, more than 2 tables are needed to complete this one, similar to what we've got up here, along with mixed join types. So there you go, something along those lines. Also make sure you are only showing uninvoiced items, and that might have something to do with nulls in a where clause. Just a little hint for you there. So you think you can give that a try? Think you can get the answer on that? Give it a go. If you struggle or you succeed, we'll go through it anyway and I'll show you what's going on with this little query. Right then, let's get started. Select start from. So what have we been asked for? The order ID. So that's normally from the orders table. That's a good place to start. So we'll bring in sales orders. We'll pseudonymize it straight away as the usual letter O. From there, we need the customer name. So we need to bring in the customer table. And we know that for every order there has to be a customer, so we're quite comfortable in using the inner join, because that won't exclude any results as every order has a customer against it. We know that from working with the table and doing previous queries, so we're quite happy that we'll be running with the inner join. Call it C, and we know that it's the customer ID linking with the customer ID in the orders table. Fantastic. So now we should be able to bring in the customer name and the order ID. But next, what about the salesperson name? Now that's probably not going to be in customers, but it might be in orders. Let's have a look at that. So we've got a salesperson ID. So that's a good place to start. Now we've just got to find where the salesperson's data is stored. We know the link exists in the orders table. So let's find out where the rest is stored, where those names are stored. And every order will have a salesperson attached to them. We can double check that in a minute. Inner join. Now we need to find out where the salesperson's names are stored. Cities, countries, no, delivery methods, payment, people, that might be a good place to start. Let's drag it in anyway. It's already highlighted with Control 3. Let's have a look in the table. So we've got a person ID. That sounds like could be a good one to join on. Let's have a look at orders again. Salesperson ID. So the fact that this person ID is a little bit of a giveaway, and I'm quite happy to link that to person ID in the people table. We've also got person ID here, person ID there. So as you can see, a lot of columns here, 3 columns, we'll be using the exact same table to link to, and that's the people table up there, which has got a person ID. We want the salesperson ID, so we're going to link that one onto this table, and we're going to call that P on P.person ID equals, again it was in the orders table, salesperson ID. So we're quite happy with pulling the salesperson's name from the people table. Now we've got the order date. We know that the order date is within the orders table itself, so we can fill all 4 of those columns now. So let's put that in quickly. Order ID, first one in there, customer name, that should be a P, full name. There we go, that's the one I was looking for. Now I just noticed something else in the people table is salesperson. So there is a little flag in there that we can use if needs be. So we can say in our inner join, you may have put this in, you may not have, just to make sure. Is salesperson equals 1. So we could make sure, it's like a double check to make sure that we're only inner joining onto this table where is salesperson equals 1. I doubt that will have much of an effect on the results. Again, we'll have a quick look at that, see if it affects the results, but we'll take that as it is for now. And lastly, we've got the order date, again from the orders table. There's our order date. So, straight off the bat, we've built up our query. We'll have a look at the other requirements. But let's have a quick look at the results here. First of all, 73,595. Let's see what happens when we comment out that filter there. 73,595. So we can see straight away, we don't really need that one in there. We're quite happy with that. And also, we can then double check if we do a left join on customers and a left join on application people, run that off, we still get the same amount. So we're quite happy that the inner join we can work with, or the left join. Either way, we know that every order has a customer and every order has a salesperson as well. Otherwise, the left join would have revealed different results than 73,000. Okay, so we clarified that our query so far, it's all good. It's going to work and give us our results. However, make sure you're only showing uninvoiced items. So how do we know if something has been uninvoiced? We need to there bring in the invoice table somehow. Now we're not asked to provide any details from the invoicing table. However, we need to bring it in somehow in order to return the results we're after. Now, we know that uninvoiced items are only those that are not found within the invoicing table, but are still found within our order table. So we know that we need to left join our invoice table, sales invoices as I on, and we know it joins on the order ID. There we go. So we're happy now that we've joined our invoices table. If it was in a join onto this table as it is, we'll be pulling through all the invoiced items only and none of the uninvoiced orders themselves, which is what we're looking for. So we need to left join instead in order to get those uninvoiced ones. However, this will, of course, if we run it off, show us everything, 73,595. It'll show us everything anyway because we're left joining. So what we need to do is, in our where clause, we can say the invoice ID, for example, is null. Now I'm going to put that quickly in our query itself to show you what's going on. I won't run off with the where clause at the moment. I'm going to run that off. As you can see, we've got an invoice ID there, which is fine. As we scroll down the list, let's look for some nulls. There we have a few nulls. So we know that this order, 7911, has not been invoiced yet. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for all these null invoices. So let's comment that out again. And we're saying here in our where clause where the invoice ID is null, because that is what we are looking for. To run that off quickly. And there you go. There's your results. 3,000 rows. So as you can see, it's cut down massively from the huge amount that we had originally. So a little bit more thinking, a little bit more involved in putting that one together. We had to join the invoices table in on a left join. We didn't have to provide any rows, however, from the invoice table, but we still had to bring it in, and then we had to put our where clause in there. Now, what would have happened if we had done that? Filter on our left join. Well, we would have got the original result set, because no matter what you're filtering on your table here within your join, we actually want to filter the entire result set itself, because we wanted to see just those orders where the invoice ID was null, and that is our 3,000 there. So hopefully you can see the flexibility now of bringing in your left join, but also the pitfalls and the various considerations you have to bear in mind when using this join in order to satisfy the requirement that someone might have passed on to you to look into. Where to put your filtering, whether it's in the where clause or the join itself, is quite key, so just remember the differences there. Right then, we've covered the left and the right outer joins, had a bit of fun and games with that. Let's have a few more examples for you to look into before we move on, and hopefully start to cement what the left outer join is all about. Firstly then, right, the bigwigs are just about to head into their half-yearly meeting, but the customer service manager's laptop was zapped by lightning the night before, and she needs some data to present, data on our customers. So you need to step in and bail her out. She'll need all the data for the following: customer IDs and their names. Sure, you know straight away which table to pull those from, and the customer buying group names where there is a link to the customer. So straight away you could see from the requirement that she wants all of these details from the customer side, but from the buying group side she just wants to know pretty much if there is a buying group attached to the customer, then bring it in. If not, then leave it blank on that regards. But still, we need all customer details in there. So give that one a try, and we'll look at the answer in the next video. On to question 2 then. Purchasing team need to do their end of year reconciliation and advise you to provide them with the following data: all of the supplier transaction IDs. So you need to look for the right table to pull all the data from: supplier name, transaction type, purchase order ID, and the purchase order date. So build up that query. You may need multiple joins of different types, purely up to you how you want to go about fulfilling that requirement. Now remember, there is a filter in there. She wants to see all the purchase orders placed in 2016 only, so you can use the code that you've seen before in a few examples, where you simply type in year, open brackets, put in the column that you're going to be selecting the year from, and equals 2016. So where you're going to put that, in the where clause or within a join, that's entirely up to you, and we'll have a go, see how you went in the next video. And that's it everyone on the outer joins, the left and the right outer joins, and we've had a good look at how they differ from the inner join, how to write them, and what to look out for when you do include them in your code. In part 6 we'll be looking at the cross join, quite an interesting join that one, and the full outer join. We'll be covering that. Some not very well used joins themselves, but you may have come across them in your working life. So until the next video, everyone, I hope you all have a fantastic day.